Ladies and gentlemen, welcome you beautiful faces back to another video on the channel. Now, very special one for you here today. A little bit different. Freestyle chess. If you don't know what it is, just look at your screen. What is this mess, okay? Freestyle chess, there are 960 different positions that these players can form on the board with their pieces, basically. There's only 3 rules for it, okay? Rooks have to be on either side of the king. Bishops have to be on opposing squares. And there is one more. There's one more. Yeah, the pawns have to stay on the front row. It's only the back row that you can rearrange. It's mental, some of these positions, okay? I mean, just look at your screen. Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura, freestyle chess. Jesus Christ, I could explode. There's no opening theory. How can you prepare for 960 different openings? It's literally just battle of chess IQ. Just understanding the position as quickly as possible. It's mental, okay? We're going to be reviewing a few games from the first day of freestyle chess. It's mental, guys, okay? Without further ado, let's jump straight into game 1. Okay, guys, so game 1. They get about 10 minutes before each match to try and look at the position and work out how they're going to start off this game. Despite the fact that this is a relatively new concept to all these super GMs, there is actually some theory behind some of the positions. Like, say for example, I don't know, you have a rook in the middle and a queen on this diagonal. If you push this pawn to start the game, you push your d-pawn, you're pushing a pawn behind a rook, taking the centre, and also opening up your queen. Do you understand what I'm saying? If there's like a bishop in the corner, say for example this was a bishop, and you push this square off the start, you're opening up this diagonal. Like there's some nuance to it. There are some things you can do, some things you can't. So the game starts off. Magnus plays d4 for the reasons we just explained, and Hikaru plays d5. Again, the reasons we just explained. We're not just a pretty face, people. Then we get f3 and bishop b5, which has a slight inaccuracy already because of this move, a4. So Magnus has a rook behind this pawn, as you would in regular chess, and so he just pushes the bishop back, already gaining a tempo. Knight f2. Knight g6, and then knight to d3, which is a slight mistake because you bring the bishop back into the game, it can just trade it off. Obviously Magnus doesn't want to take with a pawn because 1, that would damage his structure, and 2, that would block his view from the pawn on d4. We get e5, e3 and knight f6, so both battling for the centre, both wanting to take control of the game. We get rook b3 already. I mean, we're on move 8 and we have a rook on b3 staring at a pawn just in front of Hikaru's king. You don't see this in regular chess. It's absolutely mental. We get a6, g4 and c5. Now the only move in the position for Magnus is to take on c5, which he finds. Queen takes on c5, knight e2 and bishop d6. Now this is a slight mistake. I wonder why. What does the engine give? So the engine gives g5, h6, knight c3. Okay, so we're never really going to find out, are we? It's just really subtle changes. I guess because you sort of allow this knight to jump to f5, the pawn can't kick it away, you're attacking this bishop, which will eventually get back into the game. So it's very weird, very, very weird, I don't really understand that, but instead we get knight to g3 right away, which is not ideal. Obviously Magnus wants to put his knight on f5, but from that line we saw there's a couple moves he needed to play before that, like a5 for some reason. Who knows? The engine's weird. Knight e7, rook c3 attacking this queen, and queen a7. It is the best move in the position, but I mean, just look at this. This is just, you never see this in a chess game. But how do you even, like, if I was sat here right now, say I had the black pieces and I was playing someone similar to my level, I'd be like, oh my god, I'm completely losing. What is going on? The engine gives it as equal. I mean, slightly better for Magnus, but to prove that's just impossible. Like, some of the lines this is going to give is just ridiculous. We get a5. Only move here is bishop b4, forking these pieces. Rook b3. So back on this, pinning the bishop, pinning the pawn to the king, whatever. But then we get a trade of bishops. Or Hikaru needed to play this move, c5, to gain an advantage in the position. And you might be thinking, wait, hang on, can't Magnus then just play c3? No, because of this move. Oh no, not that move. I must be thinking of a different line. But then you get queen d6 in this line. Okay, what do I know? We get knight c6. We get g5 attacking Hikaru's knight. Knight d7. We get bishop h3. Ah, and now they want queen c5. So what's the difference in this position? Why was there was such a big advantage for... You know what, I just don't understand chess, clearly. But we get queen c5, and yeah, rook can't just go here now because of this, right? Yeah, see? Way. I don't understand the difference. What was the... You know, I'm going to have to watch this back and try to work out the difference, because I can't be bothered to look. And you're like, oh wait, but Magnus then just goes back here. No, because you lose your queen. You lose your queen, and that would not be good. So we get that. We get knight h5, don't know, threatening this pawn. So Hikaru drops his queen back, defending everything. Very solid so far, very even. f4, we get knight c5, rook to b6. That's such a gangster move, isn't it? I mean, later on there's going to be some serious pins where things can't be taken. And you might be wondering, how could Hikaru even castle right now? Because, yeah, it's impossible. Well, it is right now, actually, because you'd be castling through check. But you literally just swap with the rook in this case. It's weird. It's weird how it all works. But we get king a7, f-pawn takes on e5, and then knight takes back. So a nice central knight here for Hikaru. But Magnus's threats are coming from this bishop scoping out here, the rook here, this pawn is pushing, threats here. And the queen is going to join the party at some point, you got to think. I mean, you got to think the queen's joining. The queen's joined the party, people. The queen has joined the party. Hikaru's rook shuffles over, because if you don't do that and you just play a stupid move like this, then this... Oh, wait, what? Oh, no, because of the knight! You play bishop g2 first. Oh, my God. And you have to sack a knight. Wow! God, some of these lines are just so gangster. But we get knight taking, because... Hang on, wait. Oh, my God. These are the things I just don't find. You win this pawn, and if Hikaru takes, then there's just a knight hanging here. So you just up a pawn. What a joke. What a joke, people. Queen has to shuffle back because it's kicked away by the knight. We get d4 played by Hikaru, looking to push this pawn, make a queen. Magnus says no, takes the pawn. Hikaru gets his rook into the game, taking the pawn on d4. Knight f5 attacking the rook, and then rook to a4 attacking the queen. But Magnus has this brilliant resource, queen g3, scoping out this rook, and it's just on a pretty mean diagonal. I mean, there might even be threats later on of being on this diagonal. Who knows? Not that diagonal, I meant this diagonal. I just can't draw arrows. Maybe I should go back to using my mouse and just press the button here. Whoa, 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 whoa. We get a rook trade here. We get queen to d8. Queen g1 on this mean diagonal. Wow, so it is the same diagonal we said, but we were looking at queen f2. I wonder what the difference is. Why can't you play queen f2? Oh wow, because then there's queen d1 check, of course, right? So that makes sense why you have to play g1 then, just blocking this square while also maintaining pressure on this diagonal. Absolute joke of a move. Queen d5 and then b4. Whoa! Magnus slides his queen over, sorry. Whoa, why can't... So we get this check. Magnus has to move. Rook comes over. Why can't you just take here? I mean, the position, you still have a ridiculous advantage. But then the queen jumps in. Knight jumps to this square. I mean, this just looks crushing. Pawn's pushing. Oh my God, look at this line. Obviously, the players aren't going to find that, though. So we get rook b3. Takes, and Magnus has to block with the rook here, but he plays this move. King to a3. Now, why is this a mistake? It's because of rook to e8. What is the line? Why is that such a blunder? I presume the rook's just going to come down and just start messing stuff up. That's my idea. And if not, then... well, we gave it some in-depth thought anyway, so what can you do? We get c6, which is actually a check, a discovered check on the king from this queen here. king has to shuffle back, which is a great move for some reason. We get, whoa, another check. Hikaru blocks with a rook though, which is the right move. Wonder what would happen if he played here. Then we just get rook c3. Oh, wow. So it attacks the queen, and you're also going to be pushing this pawn to promote. What a move. We then get here, and we get the move rook c3 now. Obviously not as effective this time. We get queen b1, knight d4, we get b6. Oh, there's going to be some crazy sacrifices here in a minute, I can feel it. Queen d6, this just looks crushing, doesn't it? The queen's pinning this, the rook's on a lovely line, the bishop's scoping from a mile away, the knight's jumping in, you know, at some point on one of these squares. You got to think. We get a check. King runs up to safety. Knight shuffles back. We get queen f8 check. Knight. What am I talking about, guys? I'm going insane. We get king a7, and then we get this unbelievable move by Magnus Carlsen. This move proves why he's the world champ 5 times over. Knight to b5 to end the game. Oh my god. This is a joke. You might be thinking, wait, just take then. But no, the rook comes in, giving a check, not pinning, while also attacking the queen. So Hikaru would have to play like this. Oh my god, then Magnus would be plus 3 points of material, up 25 seconds on the clock or whatever it is. Oh, he's not losing that game. This was round 1 of the tournament, people. Magnus got off to a winning start. It was an absolute joke of a first game. It was beautiful. But it gets better. And you might be thinking, how can it get better than the El Clasico of chess? Well, let me tell you guys. Round 2. Fabiano Caruana with the white pieces, Magnus Carlsen with the black pieces. As you can see, position is completely different to the first game. The whole back rank has changed. However, we still get d4, d5, which is what we got in the first game, I'm pretty sure. Let's actually shuffle back over quickly and have a gander. Yep, d4, d5. My memory serves me well. Knight jumps in to c3. We get b6 by Magnus. Short castle, short castle. Guys, it's a ridiculous concept, I know. They just swapped places. Do you know how crazy that is? And then you've just got this armada here that are just going to push pawns relentlessly with a rook, queen, and rook behind them. We're in for something special this game, guys. Oh my god, I love freestyle chess. Bishop f4, bishop a6, g3, c6, queen to d2, knight d7 out the opening, and then rook to e1. So obviously Fabiano is looking to push his e-pawn. We get e5, which is a huge mistake by Magnus, and you might be wondering why. It's because of this move e4. It's an absolute joke. Fabiano gives up a bishop on move 8 of a format he knows no theory. This is why he's leading the tournament so far. I probably haven't told you that already, but he is currently number 1. If you take here, and the queen is only able to stay on this e-file, so it's trapped. So it would have to take this rook, and then you just take back, and you've won his queen. It's an unbelievable find by Fabiano, but we don't get that. Magnus plays c5. So Fabiano just takes on the e-file. Magnus pushes the pawn, attacking the knight. We get knight to d5, and then we get knight taking on e5. Wow, Fabiano plays b4. That's such a gangster move. We get knight c4 by Magnus, attacking the queen. We get queen e2, putting some pressure on this diagonal. Obviously, you can't move the knight because then you lose the bishop. Rook takes the knight. Pawn takes back. Wow. So Magnus had to sack his rook here because he felt there was overwhelming pressure. So he felt the need to sort of trade off the queens. We get knight b2. Now this is such a good move because attacking here, also attacking here. So Magnus is going to win back that rook that he lost. Fabiano sets up this battery, and then we get the trade. So now material's completely equal, and you might be wondering, well, why does Fabiano have such a big advantage in the position then? Well, this knight isn't really going anywhere, unless, I don't know, it comes back here. Could go up here, but then it's got no squares to go to. It's very slow from Magnus. This knight over here is literally doing nothing. This rook needs to come into the game. This pawn is eventually going to come forward, you got to think, so this bishop can come into the game, but it's all very slow. Whereas for Fabiano, I mean, this bishop's already open, this bishop's open, this rook is on this open file, the king is safe, the pawns are pushed. I mean, it's much better for Fabiano, objectively speaking. We get d3. Fabiano plays this move, rook to e7, and we get g5. Now, you might be wondering, well, why can't you just push? Well, it's because the bishop is then going to take it, okay? And you might be wondering, well, then why can't you just take? Well, that's because then the knight takes it, and you have nothing, okay? This pawn for Magnus is the only real thing going for him. And if you took here, well, you can do that, but then you just sort of take back there, and I don't know, you're in a similar sort of position. So Fabiano puts his rook on the 7th rank. That's always a good thing to do. g5 attacking this bishop. What would happen if you just took it? Well, then the knight's going to sort of jump about, and you're going to lose this knight over there, I see. Wow. What a move. And then we get this sort of position. b5, these double stack pawns look horrific, don't they? d6, Fabiano is pushing this pawn. Knight to b6, the knight finally moving, finally getting in the game for Magnus. d7 though from Fabiano, oh my god. Knight drops back to a4. Knight b3, knight takes on d7, rook takes. And you sort of have to give up this knight. Magnus might be thinking, because you've got to understand, they can't see the eval bar. And a pawn here for Magnus does look strong, okay? Your rook's going to come over, it's going to be pushing behind the pawn. But the thing is this knight and this bishop over here both defend the c1 square, so it's going to be very difficult for Magnus to really get anything from this game. So we get bishop e4, rook c8, and then this unbelievable move, rook d8. It's not that unbelievable really, is it? But you just give this check, and so the rook has to take. But then in a position like this, you're just down a bishop. You're literally down a bishop. Both players still have 1 minute 30 on the clock. They get 10-second increment for every move they play. I mean, down a bishop against Fabiano Caruana, you're not going to win. So Fabiano picks up a monstrous win versus Magnus Carlsen. And he sits currently number 1 for freestyle chess on day 1. But game 3, people. Oh my god. Oh my god, have we got a banger here. What did we do to deserve this? This is all in one day of chess, guys. Hikaru Nakamura versus the reigning classical world champion, Gukesh. What? What did we do to deserve this? Oh my god, guys. I thank you, God. This position, again, completely different. So you might be thinking, what are they going to play? I mean, what is the best move here? The engine actually seems to think that d3 is the best move. This is not what the players played. We got f4, okay? So again, you're pushing a pawn behind a rook and you're opening up your queen. It can't be a bad move, can it? And when we get f5, we then get d3, which was the best move apparently according to the engine initially. b6, knight g3, bishop to b7. So Hikaru's setting up this gorgeous diagonal off the start, fianchettoing this bishop. e4, so Gukesh looks to strike in the centre. Best move here is for Hikaru just to take, because you're just taking a pawn in the middle. I mean, from a pawn that is not centralised, so it's a good move. But Hikaru plays this move g6, which is not the best. Now, what does the engine want? The engine just wants e4 or a4. Gukesh opts for a4, looking for an attack on the left flank. c5, knight a5. Guys, I'm losing my mind. I am losing my mind. Knight a5. It's because I was looking at this knight. I was looking at this good fellow over here. And then I saw this go up out the corner of my eye. I was like, oh, knight a5. That's a pawn, guys, okay? This isn't a spoiler either. It doesn't turn into a knight later on, unfortunately. That's just me being an absolute moron. So please let me know in the comments how much of a moron I am. That would be great. Pawn takes. Pawn takes. Knight d6. Then we get the move bishop a2. Oh, Gukesh. Gukesh, you gorgeous man. Just setting up an attack on this queen. So the queen obviously has to move. It goes for g7. e5. So just basically locking off the centre while you attack this knight. I mean, look at this. This is looking gorgeous. We get knight f5, so Gukesh takes, Hikaru takes back. Oh, this opens up the queen on here. We get bishop to e3 and then bishop c7. This is such a subtle move, but probably just looking to castle if you're Hikaru. I mean, this is relatively normal castling in comparison to what we got. Obviously, the king would normally be on this square, but this isn't too dissimilar. I mean, you can short castle one way, long castle the other. So we get long castle from both. I know it actually looks like short castling, but it's not. Knight f3, h6, and then, oh my god. Gukesh, you are an absolute gangster, my friend. What is that? What is that? Who looks at this position and goes, yeah, I'm going to take this pawn on c5? What on earth? And now let's say you get a move like knight coming out. Well then, you just take again. What? What? What happens after this? Oh my god, queen c5. And you just have overwhelming pressure. Look at this. You're blocking off the queen. King b8. Oh, knight e5 is where it goes wrong though, man. Needed to play a6. And if takes, then play knight e5, attacking the queen. And after bishop goes here, knight takes the queen. Oh my god. You might be wondering, why can't you just play here? Because of this move, queen e5 with check. d6, attack this bishop. This bishop's coming in. Oh my god, why can't you take? Queen takes. Oh my god. What is that? Why does the rook have to come up here? What would happen if you just played a move like queen back? There's mate in 5. Rook f3, queen c3. Oh my god. Oh my god, guys. We just went on a tangent. But, wow. Gukesh is an absolute gangster for taking there. He probably saw all that because he's an absolute machine. I mean, that's the world champ for a reason. Queen takes back with check. Pawn blocks. We get queen to b5. Hikaru's position actually looking better off after all that tangent. Rook d3. Hikaru finds rook b8. Wow. Hikaru, he might be the most defensively sound player in the world. And, like, I have watched so much Hikaru. I love the man. Anytime he's in a losing position, he always finds a way. Even in the game against Magnus, round 1 that we looked at. Granted, he didn't win the game, but he had a much worse position for so long. And he found every engine move for so long. I don't know how he always does it. Oh my god. Queen a3. Rook b6. Rook c3. Bishop e4. Bishop c4. This is a mistake. I guess because you're just blocking your rook. Knight g6. We get g3. King b8. And guys, you might be thinking, how are these two of the top players in the world? Look at all these moves they're finding. They're all the wrong moves. Guys, no one has ever played this format before. I mean, they have, but not in a tournament where there's loads of money on the line. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you only get, look at their times. They got 1 minute 20 and 40 seconds to think. It's just ridiculous. Rook d1, queen c6, bishop to e2. So you open up this rook on the queen. And then we get queen a8. Hikaru loves putting his queen on these squares, doesn't he? I mean, we saw round 1 against Magnus. Rook d4. Rook c8. Looking for a rook trade, but Gukesh just double stacks, sets up this battery. So Hikaru, oh my god. Oh my god. I play queen a5. You have to play here. Oh my god, because of queen b4. Rook b6. Queen a4. Oh my god, and you're just setting up mate. Oh my god, what a threat. Wow. Jesus Christ, some of these lines and these positions are just so nuanced and new to me, so I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, we get queen a5. Hikaru takes back. Hikaru again finding every move in the position to stay in the game. It's just ridiculous. Gukesh plays queen a4. Hikaru again, great move, blocks. Queen b4 check. shuffles back, shuffles back. And the reason you have to play like this is because, say you played, I don't know, rook b5 blocking. Well, then there's rook c3 here, takes, attacks the queen, and yeah, you're completely losing in this position. Oh my god, you don't even have to take the queen. These engine lines are a joke. So obviously the players just have to shuffle back and forth, and it peters out into a draw. Oh my god, that was a whirlwind of emotions, guys. So much happened, so much went on. What a draw, okay? That's the most exciting draw you're ever going to see, because this freestyle format is so new. There's no theory, there's nothing. It's just players looking at a position going, that looks good, we're going to go with that. I don't know if it works, but in my head, I think I can prove that it does. It's ridiculous. Fabiano Caruana leads after day 1. We will be covering day 2 on the channel, so please stay tuned. Please like the video if you enjoyed, it would greatly help. Subscribe if you are new, I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.